two ways here.
Okay.
We got a couple things happening this week.
Okay. What do we got going on?
I guess I was thinking of Winter Olympics, but you...
Yeah. Okay, that snuck up on me.
It did.
Probably because Summer Olympics was like a month ago.
Yeah.
But yeah. Okay. So Winter Olympics. I actually don't know what sports are involved in that.
Well,
Is that? Do they do taekwondo?
Actually, I don't know. Was that? Okay, I googled a list before this.
Okay.
Let's look at them and say the ones that like surprise us. I don't know what a biathlon is.
Okay, I'm surprised by bobsleigh because I thought it was bobsled.
Same, or bobsledding, like they say skiing.
Luge.
What is Nordic combined? We'll have to look that up.
Looks
Skeleton? Okay, if you know what these things are.
If you're riding on a sled like that, then yeah, you're gonna be a skeleton.
Oh dang, that's it. Like it really is like
There's
just these snow type sports. I thought there'd be more like not snow involved sports.
Well,
I'm surprised.
I mean biathlon, but yeah, there's not a lot here, huh?
Yeah.
Speed skating is always kind of cool to watch.
I did watch that a lot when I was younger, along with figure skating, but now I love to watch snowboarding and honestly a lot of the skiing stuff I like.
Yeah, I like seeing the big jumps.
Yeah.
That's cool for me.
Freestyle skiing, I don't know if I've ever seen that. What I was gonna say is like with the Winter Olympics, like everything is so snowbound. I don't know if that relates to what I'm gonna say. I was gonna say it seems like an expensive sports to get into because I feel like there's so much equipment needed and certain types of training that I feel like is expensive. Like I've heard figure skating is just so expensive to get into, and then like having to be around places you can practice, like always having a ski slope to be on. That seems expensive.
Yeah.
Where I'm going with it.
Well, I feel like it's cost prohibitive, you're right. And some of that holds true for Summer Olympics as well, just because like the level that people are training at. I would imagine in most cases they've got like a coach that requires money, and you know they need equipment that requires money.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think like you're probably right that like the winter sports end up being a little more expensive just because of all the constraints around it.
Yeah, I was trying to give an example of like a cheap summer sport maybe. And the first thing that comes to my head is volleyball. But if you think about beach volleyball, like you always need sand to train on. Like you don't always need it, I guess, but like that'd be very useful for your career.
I mean, soccer.
That could be
you still have like
pretty
the coaches.
Simple to like be on your own wherever you are practicing with the ball. And I was thinking basketball, but for the US, basketball is like all NBA players, and I feel like sometimes NBA players get to where they are just because they're really good, not because they had like the extra training.
Right.
Their natural talent is a big thing. I mean, so is a lot of sports. So like a lot of volleyball people probably just pick it up really fast and don't need. I think they still like obviously basketball people have a lot of extra training too, so it might be the same. So would you say you're a summer or winter guy, or do you even watch?
Summer Olympics, 100%. I mean, I can't say anything other than Summer Olympics now that they've added rock climbing to it.
Oh, yeah.
Like that to me was a very big deal, and it was so exciting watching the competition last year. So
wow. So you were like impressed by the rock climbing, I'm guessing?
Yeah. It's like, I don't know if I've talked about this on the show before, but I've been a rock climber for, well, I started like 15 years ago, but I would say I only have like 12 or 13 years of climbing under my belt because I had to take like 2 years off for an injury. You know, with the experience I have, like I can gauge like how difficult the moves are that the Olympians are doing on the rock walls. And to me, it just blows my mind, like trying to think about like the flexibility and strength and stability it takes to pull off some of those moves. Just it's beyond me.
I do want to like talk about the climbing more, but I agree because like when I watch volleyball, that's something I can relate to and I can see the talent in people. So like, but if I were to watch rock climbing, I don't think I know anything. So I'd just be like, I guess that's really good. And I haven't seen it, so I don't know what I would think. If I watched someone really good, I'm sure I'd be like, wow, look what he had to do there. I didn't even know that. So 15 years, like what got you to want to do rock climbing even?
Great question. So it was my ex-wife that got me into it. She wasn't my ex at the time, though.
Okay.
Um, and she actually, she like her job during the day was being a climbing guide and trainer.
Oh, okay.
And she went on to like in a gym. And then she went on to after we split, she went on to become a outdoor climbing guide.
Gotcha.
So yeah, pretty cool.
That is cool. Interesting. Okay.
So yeah, she got me into the sport initially, and I loved it. Like it's one of my favorite ways to exercise, and I've just carried that through.
Yeah, so what keeps you like, I don't know how I would answer this question even, so I'm trying to think if it's a good question, but why do you enjoy it as a way to exercise? Like what keeps you coming back?
All right. Thank you. It's my time to evangelize. Listen, rock climbing is fascinating. And I mostly do bouldering, which is basically climbing without a rope. But they're short enough climbs where if you fall, you don't get injured if you fall correctly. And you have like big mats on the ground. So like you fall, you just land in a big mat. And to me, I love using my mind while I'm exercising. And so while rock climbing, like every route is a puzzle. So like even before I start climbing, I'll be looking at the route and picturing my body like moving up the wall or across the wall, depending on the route. And like checking the angles of the holds, like where can I put my hand that I won't like fall off. And then once I get on the wall, I'll sometimes realize that like what I was thinking won't work. Because maybe I can't stretch that far, or maybe like the hold is too close to me and I can't get the balance right. So then I have to like figure out a way while climbing to rest.
Oh.
So that could mean like letting one arm come off the wall and having the other arm take all the weight while I like ponder the rest of the route. So like all these like thoughtful exercises while I'm like using my strength and using the climbing technique, it just makes it so engaging for me. Like every route is like a Sudoku puzzle. Like
yeah, which I feel like a lot of sports like obviously take some mental capacity and strategy, but I do feel like this is one where you can see it before and think about strategy before you even like tackle it, which does sound super cool. And I was even with some people last night that went climbing with you the day before, and they described it just like that too, like a puzzle. Like, and I think they were talking about getting advice before doing the route, and they're like, well, I don't want advice like before my first time because I want that like challenge of solving the puzzle first, like by myself a couple times. I was like, that's true. Like it sounds really fun.
Yeah, I mean what you just said brings up a good point. Like while rock climbing, there's a rock climber culture, and it is important to like, but when you're like talking with like a stranger at the climbing gym, it's important if you're like talking about a route to be like, hey, do you mind if I give some advice, or do you want to, what we say is like, do you want the beta on that?
Do you want the beta?
Yeah. And some people are definitely like, no spoilers, please. Whereas other people are like, yeah, please, for the love of God, like I need to know how to do this.
Interesting.
And so yeah, there's like that like climber culture. It's also like a really good way to make new friends, because when you rock climb, you basically like climb a route, or try to, and then you take a break for a few minutes. Like you don't just climb. There's always like a couple minute break in between each route. And so during those break times, that's when you socialize. So I love having a climbing buddy, but even when I don't, it's like nice to be able to just like chat with the other climbers of the gym that I don't know. Because generally everyone is like, I mean, climbers are just like chill.
Yep.
Overall.
This reminds me of like, I feel like snowboarders have their own lingo, and like, yeah, there's a culture to it. I mean, let's say, I don't know the answer to this. Let's say you go to one gym over and over. There's like multiple routes, it sounds like, but can the routes change? Like they like take things off the wall and like rearrange them?
Yep. So the gyms that I've been to, they kind of like every week they'll change out some routes. Okay. So like they'll choose a section of their climbing wall, take the holds off, put a whole set of new holds up for that one section. And then the next week they'll pick a different section to do that with. And so like if a section was just changed out, I would say, at least to the gyms that I've been to, you have like 4 to 6 weeks to like figure out whatever routes you want to on that wall before they'll get changed out again on that section of wall.
So that keeps it like engaging for you, I'm guessing. Like,
yeah,
you wouldn't want to keep going somewhere that's just the same routes, right? Okay.
Like we spent most of our time yesterday while climbing. We spent most of our time on the newest wall. So like all new routes. Really fascinating to like climb stuff that you hadn't seen before.
So like that in that one day, did you figure out the route and you're like done with it, or would you come back to it and try some new things still?
There are like several that I figured out and climbed first try.
Okay.
There were, I think, like 2 that I enjoyed enough but wasn't able to send. I wasn't able to get to the top of.
Send. Okay.
But are like projects to me now. So like in future weeks, I'll probably look back at those routes and be like, all right, maybe today I'm feeling rested. Maybe I can give it another shot.
Cool. Well, yeah, because I thought you brought up last time that like you just recently went climbing for the first time since your shoulder injury. So like, do you notice that you had to like build yourself back up? Like, does it seem like you're less strong than before, or because you've been working out a lot too? Like, has that helped keep your strength or improve your strength? So when you came back, did you feel better or worse is maybe my question.
Kind of a mixed bag.
Okay.
So all of the traditional gym training that I've been doing over the past year has done wonders for rehabilitating my shoulder. So like the fact that I can use that now is the most important thing. Like I can use my shoulder without pain, and I mean, without that, I can't climb. However, because I've been exercising so much at a traditional gym, I weigh a lot more now. Like I've put on so much muscle that climbing is actually a lot more difficult because I'm putting on muscle in places that doesn't necessarily help with the climbing as much. Like squatting a heavy weight is great, but like I don't need that much leg power to climb.
Okay.
Because I really only need to like lift my body weight with my legs, like single leg body weight basically.
Yeah.
Whereas at the gym, I'm doing like weighted single leg stuff.
Right.
And so like I'm building up more muscle than what I need for climbing. And so my like muscle, like my climbing strength to weight ratio is a bit skewed right now. So it's become harder in some ways.
Yep.
But thankfully I still have like a lot of the technique that I've built up over the past, more than a decade.
That's good, yeah.
And that helps me get to it. And honestly, like I think I said this last week, I was feeling a little emotional when I realized like I could climb without pain in my shoulder.
Yeah.
And it's just the greatest feeling to know that I can like go back to the sport that I love.
Yep. Are you worried about like hurting your shoulder again though?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm very worried.
Yeah, I would be too.
And this past week so the way that I injured my shoulder is I was climbing a horizontal overhang.
Okay.
So like I would be like under, like this is the rock wall and I'm under it like this, and then the floor's down here. Okay. And like the holds are on the underside of it. Oh. So like it takes a lot of strength to do that, and I did like a big dynamic reaching move with like a big pull, and that's when everything went awry. Dang. I did climb an overhang route yesterday and it seemed fine. I didn't do like a big move like that, but I did like climb an overhang probably 3 times in a row. Wow. So I'm feeling very good about my shoulder. I'm probably going to stay away from like dynamic moves, which is like stuff where you have to like jump and grab. And, like stuff like that where you're putting a lot of like intense shock to your shoulder. But other than that, I think it's good. And honestly, it feels so good. Like I'm feeling emotionally a lot better about the injury. Yeah. Because 2 years down the road is like a long time to go without doing the sport you love and without knowing that you'll ever be back at 100%.
Oh yeah. To me, if that happens, it makes me feel like I'm getting old. And like that's one of my it's like a fear that it's not like a was gonna say it's not a rational fear. I don't think I'm using those words right, but like it's not like a fear that actually affects my life. But I'm always like, oh no, like, because I think about stuff like, oh, in 4 years something will happen. Oh, but I'm not gonna be this age anymore in 4 years, so that makes sense. Going back, sorry, I did have one more question. So, would you ever be interested in like the outdoor climbing, or is that like a whole different thing?
So, I've done it before a few times. It's a lot of fun. I really enjoyed the times that I went. It just takes a lot more like preparation and a lot more equipment. And I don't think, for me, like the barrier to entry to do something is really important. Like, I don't mind going to the gym, working out, because it's quick. Like, I can be there in 15 minutes, get in a workout, go back home, rinse off, and I'm good to do whatever else with my day.
Yeah.
Outdoor climbing is like you're making a trip out of it, probably a weekend out of it.
That's true.
You need like so much equipment and all the training to like be able to set it up properly, because safety is like obviously a huge concern with rock climbing. So I don't think it's for me. I think I would really enjoy sometime though, like hiring a professional who has all the equipment to like guide. Like it'd be fun for like a weekend to like get some of the climbing crew together, have someone guide us on like some outdoor routes, set up all the stuff for us, and like
that would be cool.
Yeah, that sounds like a good time. Like mix it up with like a camping trip so that it's kind of like people who, oh yeah, this is a great idea. I'm coming up with a great idea. People who don't want to climb, it's a camping trip. People who do want to climb, it's a camp and climb trip. This is beautiful.
That would be awesome. I mean, because I would imagine there's like some good hiking around places where you can climb stuff too.
Yes.
So like even the people who don't want to climb, like I'm all about a hike.
Yeah.
Not that I do want to try climbing though.
I think you would like it a lot.
Yeah. It just sounds so fun because kind of like the puzzle aspect you're talking about, and then being able to do something like physically that I've never tried before because I don't know what kind of challenges and stuff it would pose. And also just the socialization aspect that you're kind of talking about within the climbing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really, you actually, okay, so you don't give off Redditor vibes. You do give off climber vibes. I think you would really like it.
I'll take that. That sounds like a compliment as well.
Thank you all for joining us in the wardrobe.
We have to figure out.
Bye. Yeah. Do we?
We can cut this out.
No, we don't.
Add some.
I kind of like.
Add a closing.
Bye.